Due to the unpredictability of Lexer's behavior, listener discretion is advised. The VOT Network presents the Voices of Terminus Show with your hosts, Yarnilla, Lexer, and Joshua.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Voices of Terminus show. Today we have another player Q&A and we have Chase. Say hello, Chase.
Hello, good evening or good morning, wherever you are at the time.
As you can see, Yonetta's out of action and I will be filling in for him while he sits in the background and chuckles at how unprofessional we are. Today we have Lex as well. Say hi, Lex.
Hello, people.
And in the background, lurking, we have Shy.
Lurking is what I do so well. Hello.
Right, so just to fill you in with what has happened in the last week or so, or the last month or so, in the actual community. Let's just go into that quickly and give you a breakdown of what has happened. So on November the 14th, Pantheon Plus had also a discussion with Manus and Def from BXT and talking about transmogging your gear. You can catch that and go to the YouTube and catch all these videos if you want to have a look at them at some point. On November the 15th, Basgrim TV had a discussion about will you be able to solo in Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen? Yes, you will. Thanks for that, Basgrim. And on November the 15th, on the same day, obviously, Chris Kane had his fan fiction, The Bard Part 2. Right, moving along to the end of November and going into December, we had Pantheon Plus having another topic with regards to with Manus and a guest, so there wasn't anything yet on that one. Not planned on that one. And then following on the same day on that one will be the topic on VR's bi-weekly video newsletter. The newsletter. Okay, there we go. So you'll be discussing the newsletter on that one. And then finally, going into December, there will be another topic. VR will stream never before seen gameplay, but not fatal, with Co-Carnage in December, and that date will be to be announced. So yeah, let's move on to our Q&A session. So Lex, fire away.
Sure thing. Before I get started, I'm just going to give everybody a little heads up. Discord's last update has been really weird. Cameras are getting a little funky, so if things go awry, blame Yarn. But we'll get this started. First of all,
he's
Chase,
the technician in the background, so yeah.
Yes, right. First of all, Chase, thank you for making the time to come on the show. I'm sure you're a busy man with the new group on Facebook. Would you kindly tell us a little bit about your gaming background?
Okay. Well, to give a little bit away about my age, my first gaming computer was bought in 1980. It consisted of an 8-bit processor, a tape drive, and an acoustic coupler modem. MMO-wise, I was probably like many of us, EverQuest 1. EverQuest was my first MMORPG. It basically lit the fuse for me into the genre. Further down the road, I was a guild leader of a very successful WoW guild. In that, I created the bylaws, the clip art, the rank titles, the structures, and pretty much everything else that, in my opinion, makes a guild successful. And I love MMOs, and I love to try them all out, either play them for a long while or at least go into beta with them to see what kind of innovation and functionality and so forth they're adding to the genre.
Yeah. Nice. So, going further into the gaming side of things, within MMOs, what has been your best and worst moment that you found to date?
Okay, well, my best, the very best, was camping the ancient Cyclops in EverQuest after 18 hours on that island, uninstanced, protecting my turf, and saying that ancient Cyclops is mine. I've killed 150 other regular ones. I'm waiting for the placeholder, so please let me get this done. And I did, and I got my journeyman boots.
Excellent.
Worst, I'd have to say there's not a lot of worse ones, but one of the worst ones most recently was, to me, when EverQuest Next was canceled. I was disappointed.
That's true.
Yeah, a lot of us feel that.
Dave, you should have mentioned EverQuest Next, because here comes Janela.
Shut up, Jared. You're not supposed to be here. Oh, okay. So those of you that are watching, Yarn is actually still there controlling OBS. He's talking to us, but he has himself muted in OBS. So if I start screaming at Yarn, just know that he deserved it.
Yeah, exactly. We're not crazy. We're not screaming into the night.
Well, Josh isn't. So, Chase, I'm kind of curious what your take is on the MMO genre currently. There's a lot of people that are feeling disenfranchised. Are you one of them?
I'm not, and I agree with you. There are a lot of people that are disenfranchised today. My view is that it's very alive and well and innovative. As I was saying earlier, I like to keep up on everything, and I will, when something new launches, I don't care where it launched from or where it was done. I want to see what they're doing with this genre. And some examples that I feel are innovative over the years are, say, unified server faction-based PvP, RVR PvP with keep sieges and so on. For example, I believe the Elder Scrolls Online does that quite well. Multi-server dungeon pug parties and instances. And don't shoot me. I know the instance thing with Pantheon and the future of things and so on is somewhat contentious. But I like how they're able to form up pug groups very quickly by being able to draw from the multitude of servers they have. Small little touches like that. Another example is the justice system in ArcAge. I don't know if you all have seen ArcAge or tried it or whatever, but I love that. And for those who don't, it's where players sit on courts and they decide cases for the ganking or stealing accused and award penalties to the wrongdoer. And the whole proceeding is broadcasted over the channels. It's hilarious. The accused comes up with some quite clever excuses of why they did it, and they were caught, obviously. And that's from an MMO that was developed overseas. It's touches like that keep me totally engaged in this, and I'm always looking, and I think it's going great so far.
So just to add on to that, I mean, would that say you're a progressionist and not a traditionalist when it comes to MMOs?
That's a great question. Can you be both? And I've had conversations about this, and there may be some that are looking for something from the past that they may never find again. For example, Pantheon promises to be that MMO you've been waiting for, and so on, and certainly that appeals to the traditionalist or whatever.
Yeah.
But I try to keep an impartial, close eye out on MMO development and progression in both ways. So I'm here. It's an MMO that clearly is marketed itself towards traditions and so on. And I'm sure many of us agree that those are things that we love and enjoy today even.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I don't think any of your, well, first off, opinions can't be wrong. So I know a lot of people would disagree with some of the things that you said, which is just differing opinions.
Sure.
But I mean, when you look at every aspect of modern or traditional MMOs, there's good and there's bad. It depends on what you want to focus on.
That's right.
Exactly.
You know? So I know that's probably going to be a little bit of an area of contention for some folks, but I just want to remind people that opinions are not wrong.
No. Bottom line is, in any MMO, the main pillar that has to be up front would be the fun pillar, where everything has to be fun at the end of the day. Otherwise, what's the use of doing something?
Right. And what some people find fun, others won't.
Yeah.
I mean, I love these statistic-based business simulation games. I don't think I know a single person that actually enjoys those games besides myself. But,
Well,
you know.
I want to add to that. You guys graciously brought me on here to discuss the Facebook group. And that group, is all about Pantheon. It's just my personal views on innovation and so on, or don't overshadow what that game is trying to deliver. And that is our exclusive focus in that group.
Right. So. We'll get more into the Facebook group a little later, but I will say that the Facebook group that you've created, there is certainly, I have not seen in a single instance where anyone's agenda has been, unlike the other one that's out there.
And you won't.
Right. And that's a great thing. You can have conversations, but there's no, this is better, this is what's happening, this is this is that. It's what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Well, I like this. What do you like? Which is honestly kind of the way it should be. Exactly. But we'll move on here. Would you mind sharing with our viewers where in the world you are?
I am in, I landed about 3 years ago in Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm retired from the United States Navy, and I noticed we have some people from the EU or over in Europe on the channel, and I've also traveled extensively throughout Europe. I absolutely love it. But today, usually sunny but relatively cold Daytona Beach, Florida.
Nice. Right, so let's move into the Pantheon section, Chase. So after you discovered Pantheon and you looked at it and read up about it, what were your thoughts initially?
Well, I'm going to admit right now I'm biased, and I'm biased towards prior Brad McQuaid designed MMORPGs. And it's my view that I believe he knows there's a market out there for a group-centric, exploration-oriented MMORPG that doesn't hold your hand like many of them do today. So when Pantheon was announced, I was an original Kickstarter. I was completely into it. And I've been a supporter ever since the launch, and I completely believe in it. And I absolutely love Brad McQuaid designed style MMORPGs.
Brilliant. So adding to what you just said now with regards to where Pantheon is going, what other differences would you say Pantheon in your mind will have over other MMOs that gets you excited?
Oh, absolutely. First off, despite earlier in the conversation, I prefer old school, locked Trinity traditional classes. Okay? A game like EQ where you can look at a character and know by appearance sometimes what class they are and what class they aren't. For example, the antithesis of that would be like a game like Elder Scrolls Online. And I know we're not here to talk about that. But
talk about whatever you like. That's fine.
In that particular game, every race and class can choose to be a healer, a DPS, and a tank. and a combination of those classes as well. So while I find that game to be a very innovative game, my preference is I don't really care for that. I like how they're done traditionally with the old school Trinity system.
Yeah. And the nice thing about it is that there's the fourth angle that's going to be coming into it, and that's your measures, basically. So that's going to add another angle to it.
Yeah. Well, it's like, a lot of traditional games or MMOs do have that crowd control element, but they never put a huge emphasis on it. God, I cannot talk today. But like with Pantheon, they're actually saying this is a pillar. This is something that is absolutely required, which is great, in my opinion.
I agree completely.
Yeah. So, Chase, which of the races in Pantheon has kind of pulled you in the most?
I like the Archive, and I when I'm
good man.
When I'm looking at a race, I balance that against the classes, and I look at the two. And to be simplistic, to me, what looks the coolest, and right now today in my heart, an Archive wizard looks to be potentially very cool. So
very cool.
That's caught my eye, and many others for that matter. I like how they're doing the races here in this game.
Brilliant.
So far.
And then obviously opposing that, which ones do you dislike the most?
I'm gonna have to say none. And I looked at them again, and I tried to answer that question. I like them all. I really dislike the most. That's deeply personal preference for me. I don't like big burly type races like gigantic.
Yoga.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, I preferred less, but I like what they've done so far with the races. They give us a great variety. People like to do things different, and they like to express themselves. So I think they've done a good job so far.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Moving on to the classes. What classes are you typically drawn to then?
Most of the time I'm drawn to pure casters, damage casters like the wizard. I also like hybrid caster healers like the EverQuest druid. They're extremely versatile. EverQuest 2, the Fury, is one of the favorite classes I played because it was so versatile.
Okay, very nice. And is there a class you absolutely dislike or do not play?
There is, actually. I will not play a tank. I do not like leading dungeon groups, which, us old schoolers certainly expect that, I think, out of most tanks, that they're kind of the leads in a dungeon and so forth. And so a tank is really not what I'm interested in. I want to be the pure instrument of destruction.
Yeah.
So
just don't put any aggro.
That's right. Don't overdo it, right?
Exactly.
I'll be the first one to admit as a career tank that tanking isn't for everybody. I mean, it takes a very specific mentality. I mean, you have to be willing to lead if someone else doesn't step up. You have to be willing to pull if no one else steps up. You have to be willing to figure out if you can actually progress in this area.
Yeah.
Or if you're personally the weak link, it's the hardest thing for a tank to say, you know what, guys, I can't do this.
So touching on a little bit more about what you enjoy in terms of classes, how do you feel you'll cope with the mana system the way it is and the way that it used to be in EverQuest, where it was a slow burn? Yeah.
Well, I don't know the details of how it will potentially parallel with EverQuest, but how will I cope? I guess I'll be doing a lot of sitting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question because in modern, in the most recent MMOs, it's almost just like not even a factor. It's just like, candy. It's just given to you or whatever. So yeah, for me, with all the MMOs that I play, I'm so as an example right now, I'm playing Final Fantasy 14. I'm really enjoying it while I'm waiting for Pantheon. And mana power is really not that big of a deal. So cope is probably the correct word. I probably will have to adjust things for that game, but that's the traditional sense, right?
And
That's
that
what it's
wouldn't
all
affect what you choose at all. You'd still definitely go for your caster types. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Great.
So, are you the kind of player that rolls one character and that's your main till the end of time, or do you like to roll tons of alts?
I'm a main all the time, and the reason being is I pour everything into a dedicated single character so that I don't miss a detail. And with people that have lots of other demands in their lives, I just can't juggle it. I want to see that character rise to godhood, and so I'm going to focus on getting him there or him or her there as expeditiously and as powerfully as I can.
You want to be the guy who all the newbies flock to and go, "Oh my god!"
Or there'll be the person saying, "Port us to this place, port us to that place."
That's my job.
Okay, you two just read me like you are so right. I didn't think of it that way. Yes, I want to be the glam guy. I want to be
There's no shame in that.
I mean, would you guys not agree? Like MMOs where you have level locked zones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have gear, and the gear clearly shows. You're not some guy that just rolled a character 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I love MMOs like that, and yes, I like to get the attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it just harkens back to EverQuest 2 when Vision's Peak was the main thing to do back in the day, and we're one of the first set of characters that the full tracking on armor, type set on us, and walking around town with that on was great. It was something great.
Oh, I hate you, Yarn.
Yarn, you're such a scum.
Again, I got to read it for the people who just came into the channel here. You can't hear Yarn because he's sick, but he's still here talking to us. And we'll be in the middle of talking, and he'll just be like, "Shut up, stop talking!"
Right. So anyway, there we go. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You want to get items that show that you have progressed well in the game, and I agree with you.
Well, see, I know a lot of people would look at the mentality of you want to be that, really cool looking character that all the newbies flock to. Some people look at that as a bad thing because it's like, oh, you're just looking for attention. Well, some people are, but you got to look at the positive side of that. You're taking all these people who are relatively new to a game, and you're showing them what's to come. And that just makes them start foaming at the mouth, and they start playing real hard trying to get there. And that's nothing but good for the game.
Well, everybody needs to have goals in these type of games. There's nothing worse than just going into some sort of a game and having no goal whatsoever and just wandering around aimlessly, not knowing what you want to do. To go towards that and
That's right.
Being able to achieve those goals for any newbie that comes in by looking at the armor is definitely a benefit.
Absolutely. So moving on to lore, do you have a thought, Chase?
Well, one last comment on that. I like to strut my stuff, but on the other hand, someone else just interjected helping other players. If they do ooh and ah over me, if I were to achieve that level or whatever, I'm all about helping them out, and of course I'll thank them. But my personal playing style, I want to be there and provide them insight of what's going on, what's coming down the road, and so on. So it's equally important to me.
Oh, absolutely.
That's great.
So, moving on to lore. Just how important is lore to you in an MMO?
It's very important, and to me, it's the foundation of it. To me, it can make or break an MMO, and the way the lore is designed, presented, and so forth is a very important part to me of an MMO and the success of an MMO.
I agree wholeheartedly. Which of the racial lores do you like the most?
Well, I've looked at all of them. I've read about them. I happen to like the elves, and the elves have DPS bonuses that I believe will be very advantageous for that type of character. Now, I'm an Archai guy, thick and thin. He looks so cool to me. He could have racial bonuses that help only healers, but I'm still going to play it to be a wizard. So.
Yeah, that is true. So with regards to the... Sorry about that. On the released signature characters that they've gotten out so far, which one do you like the most?
Okay, well, let's see. I'm looking. I'm looking for my answer here. Okay. I thought I had looked up the answer that I was going to say for that, but I will. So my ad lib here. I'll have to say that I don't have a favorite signature, say NPC character as of yet. I am still.
No shame in that. I don't either at the moment.
So, still looking.
Perfect. No, that's great. They'll probably release plenty of others anyway, so yeah. Going on into the mechanical section now, the mechanics of the game. What game mechanics have you excited and why?
Okay, well, looking back again at what I was talking about innovation and so on, and what developers can uniquely add to an MMO, one of the many things I like about Pantheon is the world of Terminus and how it's based upon fragments of many different realms and times.
Yeah.
And that was a brilliant idea, in my opinion, by Brad and the developers, because it frees the developers up to not be limited by our earthly rules of physics. As a matter of fact, Basgrim has said you could see rivers flowing in the opposite expected directions and so forth. And so that vision and that ability of making shards and so on, can, in my opinion, can be as open-ended as, say, a space MMO. So I think it's great.
No, that is very, very good. By the way, what do you actually think about the perception system in general within Pantheon?
I think it's very good. Back to the traditional view. Hardly anyone wants to see little exclamation points above someone's head, and so to make it discovering quests and so on and things a function of say a skill and so on, where you use the perception system that's been described. I think it's a great move. It breaks away from the hand holding of theme park type MMOs, and I'm very excited about it. I've watched a video on it done by the Visionary Realms team, and it looks to be very impressive to me.
Great. Yeah, that is impressive. What do you expect from the weather system, though?
Okay, well, I have a little confession to make on that. In my prior career, I was actually a meteorologist, a weather forecaster. So I really enjoy that. I love authentic weather. rain, snow, thunderstorms, fog. Now, as a contrast,
Mhm.
I'm not a big fan, and it's kind of a segue here. I'm not a big fan of mandatory food and water.
Mm.
So in that, I wouldn't want weather causing too much of an impact on baseline character play. Now, on the other hand, a random lightning bolt from a thunderstorm striking a player and doing some damage, rock on. I love it.
Or fog so thick you can
Yeah.
hardly see what's in front of you, basically.
Absolutely. You know, to me, it's all about immersion, and the weather system that they're proposing just adds right to it, and I love it.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, see, I try to get excited with the weather system with the lightning bolt striking a player, but I just got this feeling it's going to be me that gets struck. It's just, I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be the guy in like half-inch thick metal all over me. I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to go to the next zone, guys, because it's sunny there.
Yeah. you can be the beacon, and
Yeah.
just make sure you keep the lightning away from us.
Yeah, either that or there'll be a clause in the coding where if character name equals Lexer, then hit him with lightning. But it'll just be a bright sunny day and zap, and be like, what the hell? Moving on to the crafting system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what you think. Like, where should a crafting system be in an MMO? Like, should it be so in depth and relied upon as almost a foundation, or should it be more of like a side project? And as a second part to that,
Okay.
I'm curious where you think it should be for Pantheon.
Okay. I'll generalize here at first, and I feel this way about really every MMO. To me, crafting provides independence, and that is to be more self-sufficient, to make your own items. Now, when I was playing EverQuest and earlier MMOs shortly after that, I did no crafting at all. I wanted nothing to do with it. But I've changed, and I like the ability to be able to make my own weapons, armor, potions, food and drinks that had bonuses or whatever. And so over time, I've grown very fond of it. Now, where it should be, say in Pantheon, should it be the foundation of the game? I don't believe so. Should it be in the game, and should it be an option available to people that feel the way that I do? Without question.
Okay. So, will you actually be crafting? And if so, what profession do you think you're going to pick?
Well, I'll give you guys my character name down the road here, and you can hit me up for whatever I might be. But I prefer a trade that allows me to craft weapons, armor, or wearable items for my class. So I'm going to choose the profession that most benefits my class. If I end up sticking with the wizard, as I believe I'm going to play, then I'm going to be making those staves. I'm going to be making weapons and possibly even robes and armor for that class, but it'll be class driven for me on my choices.
Yeah.
And that character name will be?
Morpheus.
Morpheus.
Yeah.
I gotta write down crafter names now so I don't have to do anything when I start playing.
Well, I hope they create umbrellas for you, Lex. So you
I hope they create rubber boots. Or maybe some rubber underwear. Then I can run around half naked in style.
No, you're gonna run around half naked anyway, so who cares?
This is true.
So, do you think that trade skilling should be something that is you acquire one type of trade skill, or should the player be able to obtain all the trade skills in the game? And the same with the gathering professions, I guess.
I believe that it should be one, and the reason I say that, one, but it should be, but make it very robust and very rewarding. worth the time, so that maybe someone wouldn't have to feel that they have to learn all of them or whatever to get continuing value out of it. And I feel that falls in line with locked classes. Okay, in the same venture, everyone delivers a value contribution to a group, and if you're a crafter, to the game.
Yeah. Amen. That's exactly what I also believe as well. And the gathering professions, at least, do you think that should be singularly based, or you'll be able to do any and all of it?
That's a tougher question. It's not really the same thing, because you're not producing a product. I would say that with gathering, maybe a little more, a few more options possibly, with an exception to it compared to crafting items.
Yeah, I think that's correct, simply because you're creating a market for the community as well. And yeah, that is also a good money sink at the end of the day.
Yeah. On to some design. This is like where I shine dimly. Do you think that the dispositions and behaviors of NPCs is going to enhance the player experience, or do you think it's actually going to cause more problems than anything?
I don't think it'll cause problems at all. But that's a tough question. We haven't seen a product yet, and so I don't believe, in my conjecture of what I've read so far in the lore and so on, that it will cause a problem. But really, my answer is, we shall see.
Nice. So in terms of the design of the game, primarily for groups and socialization, do you support the actual design being focused on the groups and socialization?
Well, as I stated earlier, I believe that it's that the group socialization aspect that obviously the game is touting. I believe it's the cornerstone of the niche of MMO enthusiasts that they're trying to fill. I'll never forget my earlier experiences with EverQuest. And I'll bring it up again because of the locked classes and the unique skills they deliver to a group. We would look for classes. If I needed somebody, it's about filling a vacancy based upon what skill you can deliver to a group, and so on. And so, earlier I said I don't care for skill-based class systems. Locked classes is a trademark of Brad McQuaid designed games that I greatly appreciate. So for me, the groups and the socialization of that is really a big part of the MMO that we're all waiting for.
Yeah. I mean, there's one thing I cannot stand in new MMOs is that everybody can be everything with their characters. I'd rather just lock it down and let you actually forcefully find the people that are going to benefit your group ultimately. So I'm very happy that that's going to be the stance for VR at the end of the day. So let's move along to the fan page question.
The fan page, the real reason that anybody's here. So I'm curious, why did you choose Facebook?
I previously managed a large club organization as a Facebook group, and it's a Facebook group is probably not the most robust medium to run a club or a hobby of people that have an interest and so on, but it's a household name, And so when somebody's checking the email from their uncle or photos on their timeline from family members or close friends or whatever, by having a resource dedicated to this MMORPG, it's just all part of that process. It's simple, it's easy. People that aren't say familiar with, say, like, for example, maybe a guild site where they have to kind of learn it and so on. It's the convenience of having something such as that, and a mutual interest group on Facebook that I think works real well.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this next question, I'm just going to go ahead and just tell you that don't worry about hurting people's feelings with your answer here. This is kind of a PG-13 stream, but I don't expect you to walk on eggshells for this one. So being the fact that you created Pantheon MMORPG group on Facebook, I'm curious what made you actually create it.
Okay.
Like what kind of lit the fire under your butt?
Yes. Well, probably the biggest fire is that I, we all love what Pantheon is and what it will be, and I found when I did my own searching on Facebook, I found that, say, the other largest Pantheon Rise of the Fallen Facebook group, after being a member of that group for a long time, well over a year, to be hostile at times and hostile to other members far too often. I felt it was poorly moderated, and had evolved into almost an unfriendly place. And we're all supposed to. We have a mutual interest here. That's what drives us to a site.
Yeah.
And those people should be first and foremost fans and supporters and even developers. And I wanted, in contrast to others that I had seen, I wanted to make a friendly place for all those people where they didn't have to, you're talking about walking on eggshells. I mean, some of these places, you even mentioned the fact that you're a supporter, you're cast as a fool, and whatever that might be. Well, that doesn't happen on this group. Fans, supporters, and developers are at a very friendly oasis and don't have to be cautious about being ridiculed or shamed about something that they believe in. And that's what drove me mostly to create my fan page.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay. Yeah. Before we move on, I will say that this doesn't necessarily apply to the other group, but it does apply to certain sections of the Pantheon viewport, I guess we'll say. There are some places out there where it literally is just it's not a fan group, it's more of a septic tank,
Yes.
with these scumbag moderators. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for it, but all I can say is if I made you angry by saying that this other Facebook group, not yours, is just full of, well, trash and scumbag moderators, if it made you mad, then probably true.
Yeah, and please don't send hate mail
Sorry.
towards Lexa. He's got a very soft shell. You won't be able to handle it. So don't send hate mail.
Oh, trust me, that group hates me already.
Well, I'll tell you something more
I'm
about
real
my
worried
group.
about it.
Moderation is definitely not missing, and I'm not talking about some kind of draconian kind of thing or whatever. I believe that's what distinguishes my group in a great way, is that it is moderated and done so that fans can go to a place and talk up whatever they want to talk about and do it with optimism and enthusiasm and without fear.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the reason that I don't know if you're already on schedule, but I kind of pushed to get you here because I joined your group on Facebook. And the one thing that got me was that people would talk about certain things that are a hot topic, like is there a release date? It's the hot topic everywhere. Instead of getting jeers and heckles and all that other stuff, it was a case of we don't really know yet, and people were like, just be patient. It was a supportive community. It wasn't this is bad. Let's ban it. It wasn't this guy's an idiot. Let's make fun of him and get him to the point where they're not going to support the game anyway. It was literally just here's the answer to the best of our abilities. So I kind of was like, we need to get this guy on because, for the love of God, we need more of this in the freaking community.
Yeah,
Shut up,
very
Yarn.
nice. So, what is it for or about, and what is the goal of the fan site?
Okay. My goal is to make that group a centralized, trusted resource for Pantheon news for people that don't want to have to piecemeal and search from multiple resources for breaking news and details of the game. Back to the household Facebook usage. I want this to be a simple place where they know they can just go and be up on the latest developer news and releases and so on. There are some people that like to do fan-created products and so on, videos and maybe live streams and so on, and great. And I don't mind people posting those things in the group. But first and foremost, I want to do the legwork for people. I'm a very connected person. That's what I do. And I want to just pull in those resources, official statements and so on, and announcements and news, so that they can just be a one-stop shop of getting your information.
Right.
Nice.
And to be honest, every social media area does kind of need that because not everybody uses the same stuff.
That's right.
So yeah.
Nice. And is this open to anyone?
It is not. And I say that with a little bit of sarcasm. It is a public group. And I want it to be that way right now so people can find it and so on. But the group is oriented towards fans, supporters, and developers only. And to support that, the rules, just very few rules that I've created, are in place to assure that each member has to agree to them.
Yeah.
The vision of the group is to be an optimistic, friendly, and supportive place, as I've said before, and so on. We won't be talking about vaporware. And again, I feel that that approach distinguishes the group from all the others. And as a matter of fact, I've had a couple of helpers helping me with our new Discord server, the new Discord server that I put in place. Yarnilla and Lexer, and one other person, I can't quite remember his name right now in the group, have been giving me pointers. That's a first endeavor for me to set up a Discord server and so on, and they've been very helpful. And I've added some unique guild features, and obviously Voices of Terminus. It's a very organized guild. You have your own resources, your own Discord. But there's some members in the Facebook group already that are guild members from other guilds for other games, but they still want to talk Pantheon. So one of the things that I did is I created guild leader groups so that they can hold meetings if they want to discuss whatever they like, and they have a lot of control over those particular channels.
Okay.
Yes. I think the other member's name was Vildane.
Yes.
Sorry if I slaughtered it. Seems like a really nice person. You did say that the group is focused around optimism. I would like to add, I don't mean to put you on a spot or anything, but I want to ask, because I'm a kind of person that I notoriously, if there's something I don't like, I will say I don't like it. But you're not specifically saying that thing is not welcome as long as you're willing to discuss it in more of a level-headed manner, right?
Yeah.
That's correct. And opposing views are certainly welcome, and I call them as I see them, guys and gals. I have no reason. I'm very pleased with the progress of where the game is going, and I have no reasons personally, again, to doubt things. But as you noted earlier in the interview, there have been some. I mean, and here's a great example to illustrate this. It's just a matter of time where somebody jumps in, joins a group, and says, "When do you think this game's going to launch?" Okay, that right there, that opening, is the first step towards contention among people, and you get a little bit of doubt and so on. And so one person said, "Would be lucky if it's 2023." Another person said, "Maybe alpha at this time," and so on. And those things went on, and I made a statement, and I made it very clear. I just said, I have no problem you voicing your personal opinions on when and projections on when you think this game will launch.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is when it leads into personal attacks, condemnation for the developers,
Generally
and so
being
on.
a toxic scumbag.
Yeah, but that's how they start, and so I put that in there, and I believe that really is important to once again to distinguish the differences from this group.
Yeah. Right. So, do you have any other resources where people can reach you or connect with you?
Well, only probably in the official PAN forums. I don't use Twitter. I'm on Facebook, but beyond that, not yet. But we'll see.
Okay.
What do you think your group's actually going to possibly evolve into in the next couple of years?
Well, we already got a Discord server, which wasn't in the cards. I try to be responsive to needs and so on. But I've said it a few times, but I would say the core, a trusted site that's an oasis for fans and developers, and maintaining that reputation, and just being a place where people can go and feel comfortable.
Nice.
Perfect. Are there any other plans for the page in the near future?
Not yet, but I'm open to suggestions. I take polls, and I will add more, just as I'd mentioned before, the server that I had made and so on. So we're just getting started here, and it could most definitely evolve into a lot more as things go on, and I have the resources and expertise to develop them.
Nice. Right. So, are you currently ungilded? And if so, what type of guild would normally draw your attention?
I am ungilded at the present moment. What I look for in a guild are active guilds, and everybody, advertises that they are one. But what I mean by that are guilds that host routine events with a calendar. We're busy people. We have commitments and so on, and nothing. One of the greatest things for me with any guild is to have a calendar that has a mechanism on it where you can sign up for events and participate in them. And they're hosted by an expert. In my prior guild that I told you I ran for a while, don't shoot me, but I appointed officers that were experts in their field that could lead things and so on. And they knew that if they went into these things, they would have somebody that was knowledgeable and could be counted on to lead them through whatever it might be. In particular, new players, and I like a guild that helps new players. On the flip side of that, I don't particularly care for scrubs or people that are just out to loot a guild and just take it for everything they can possibly get out of it. It's a two-way street, and
Exactly.
so guilds such as that is definitely what I respect and look forward to when I'm looking for a guild.
Nice. Very nice. You said you ran a guild for a while, is that correct?
Yes.
And would you actually create your own guild, or would you just rather join another guild?
I don't know. With somewhat of the load I have on me now, group and so on, I'd say right now I'd be inclined to join a guild.
Yeah. Fair enough. So Pantheon is going to have some sort of a subscription pay model in place. Do you think that that's the right way to go in today's current societies, and why?
I do, and for us, most of us, maybe I'm a bit older than everybody else here, but we're kind of used to that thing.
Yeah.
My only hope is I believe a subscription pay model is the best way to go, in my opinion. And we've all seen the other models. I've seen what I felt were great games come and go for whatever reasons, and they switch their, to a free to play kind of a market kind of place kind of thing or whatever. But my only hope is with Pantheon, I hope we have enough
Mm.
to maintain that model. We have enough subscribers and so on that will be. Now, I would imagine, like me, most enthusiasts, Pantheon enthusiasts, would be perfectly okay with a subscription model, and so I would rather they go that route, and I'll be fully supportive if they do.
Yeah. I must admit, if you look at WoW, that's still subscription based, so it's very popular. And a lot of the free to play, where a lot of companies have tried to go free to play, they don't seem to stick around for very long. So, yeah, I think there's definitely wisdom in that.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't know. I play everything, frankly, but but I don't have Facebook groups for everything. I only have it for one MMO, right? But as I said earlier in the chat, I love to see innovation, and I love to see what smart people can come up with. One of the games that surprised me recently that fell by the wayside was WildStar. I enjoyed that game. It had very unique features and so on. I mean, it had a lot of things I didn't like. It definitely was extremely theme park driven.
Yeah.
They tried to market themselves as a direct WoW competitor, but the zone creation, the storyline, the voiceovers, and so on were outstanding to me. Very, if I could say it, cute MMO.
I love the humor in that game.
Exactly, and saddened that game, despite everything they tried to do to keep it on life support, going free to play, going cash shop, and so on, and it still fell apart. I really hope that the many talented developers that left that game are able to find other venues to bring their skills to other MMOs in the future, for sure.
Definitely.
If anybody out there watching this now or in the future know of a WildStar emulator, please hit me up on Discord. just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
So you're a self-proclaimed fan of Brad McQuaid. So I'm gonna change this next question up a little bit.
Okay.
If you could have a sit down with one VR developer besides Brad McQuaid, who would it be and why?
Okay. It would be Kills. Everybody know Kills? Ben Kingsley. If you don't, he has an Australian accent, and he's part of it. I'm not about a big wheel in probably Visionary Realms view and so on, but I've been able to enjoy. There was a time where he ran moderation somewhat on their Facebook group. And we had some great, very short chats. These guys are busy. I'm not going to bog them down. And we've subsequently had recently a little bit of email talk back and forth about things and so on. So I like Kills a lot, and I'd greatly enjoy a sit down with him and Brad.
Great. So if you could attend a Pantheon, how far would you travel to get there?
I thought about this, and because I'd love to go to one. I'd have to evaluate the progress of the development to make a decision on the distance. Okay, no question about it. I want to go to one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can make it pretty simple today. If it were in Florida, I'd go today. If it were in Georgia, I'd go tomorrow. The rest of it, we just have to see. So how about you guys? Did you go anywhere? Did you fly? Would you fly over to the USA if there was a
Well,
Pantheon?
I certainly would if it was, depending on how, as you rightly say, how far it is into the development of the game. If it was near the end of the development cycle and release was soon, I definitely would travel.
I'm
Well, I'll tell you.
I'm already in the States, so.
Right. Not everyone was, but well, I'll tell you something. About I believe 5-6 years ago, I was on a work assignment in Monterey, California, and I went to the and I forgive me, I've forgotten the name that they call them, but I went to the SOE presentation in Miramar, California, and Brad had a Vanguard booth there.
Oh wow!
Now all the hoopla was about EQ2, okay, and I was kind of surprised at the time because I didn't really know a lot about Vanguard. So I walked up to the kiosk there and I was talking to the guy, and this was a big announcement about EverQuest 2 and everything that was going on. It was a big limelight for them. And so this guy, the Vanguard rep, I was asking questions about can your housing be attacked? I remember one of the questions when I was attending this. He actually made a phone call to Brad on his cell phone to get the answer for me to my question and so on, if the housing was be instance or just out in the wild or whatever. So I had, it was a great thing, and I enjoyed all the EverQuest things as well, and I really enjoyed it. So, man, if a Pantheon one came out, I definitely would strongly consider going.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So let's fast forward 3 years from now. Where do you see Pantheon being?
The utmost in simplicity here. Where do I see it being? I see it being the MMO that I've been waiting, and I can't wait. All the things that we've talked about here in this interview, and the features and so on. I hope that it's an amazing MMO that brings in not only old schoolers that are looking for that one that they felt they've lost, but new people that want to experience that style of MMORPG and the way it can be.
Yeah. Excellent. So, moving on to the last and most important question. Excluding Yanela, who is the VOT host with the most?
Okay.
He isn't even here today. We don't need to even speak to him.
I don't hear anything.
Yard's not worth a vote.
I was told he was voiceless.
That's what I was told too. I was lied to.
Okay. Well, Lexer. He's talked with me. We've had a couple little chats on my little Discord server and so on, and it's been helpful as well. So I guess for your whole entire guild, the interaction I've had, and it's been great. You guys have been so helpful. I'd have to say, Lexer, since Yarnilla isn't here and I can't hear him. So
nice. Right. So
you hear that, Yarn? I'm better than you in every way.
Yeah.
It was never
modesty.
a contention, Larry.
Yeah. Modesty is amazing.
Until you realize that I'm like an untalented schmuck.
Chase, it's been great having you. Thank you so much. It's been fun to hear your views, and best of luck to the Facebook page, and Matt, go from strength to strength.
Thank you very much. It's I greatly appreciate the invite to talk about it and so on with Voices of Terminus. One last thing I wanted to add is earlier today, Brad McQuaid did become a member of the Facebook group, and right after
great.
that, I got so many invites. It was, so we're very pleased where we are. We're not the biggest out there, but I like to say our goal is quality over quantity. So thank you very much for this evening. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're very happy you were able to make the time.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if we could try to get you back on to talk about any future things that pop up.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you again.
Excellent. Right. So from next week is going to be a bit of a surprise, but you won't want to miss next week. It's really is a doozy. Invite people along. It is something we cannot mention right now, but
you can let it slip. I'm getting a stripper pole and I'm going to dance for everybody.
Well, it was Nexus Bikini Wax. Okay, there we go. Let it slip.
So bring the dollar.
That's on my schedule for Wednesday in a couple of days to recover.
So bring the dollar bills and you can slip it into his virtual jock there. So yeah, go for it. But thank you everyone for joining us this week. It's been really great. It's probably been one of the best shows without a certain voice in the background there.
Feel free to applaud that he wasn't here.
But thanks for coming along, and we shall see you next week. And take care, everyone.